on our Moorish history.
All right.
Whatever you can give, you know.
All right. Let me see what I got here. All right. We can start with y'all getting me all right?
Yeah, oh yeah, perfect.
All right.
Loud and clear.
Um, all right. We'll go to Clock of Destiny, Volume 1. All right. The Master Key to Civilization, the 12 Signs of the Zodiac. On the page 10, the land of the Moors, the crest of Asia, Peru, Mexico, Isabella or Cuba, U.S.A, Canada and Alaska, all of which comprise the land of the cultured Moors, the descendants from the ancient Moabite nation, the fathers of civilization who inhabited this hemisphere. Thus, the U.S.A, Alaska, and Canada lie in the geographical region of the crest of Asia, often referred to as the Temple of the Moon and Sun, of which scientifically imply the greatest inclination of Earth's axis to the Sun during the months of June, July, and August in the Northern Hemisphere. What our forefathers were before this land of ours, namely Amalgam, was named North, Central, and South America, we are today, without a doubt or contradiction, namely Moor. The name Moor is derived from the name Moabite. The crest of Asia symbolized the Great Pyramid as shown on the reverse side of a U.S. States $1 bill of 1928. Names such as Negro, black, colored, Indian, red, African, Jew, and white are slave labels from the Roman cross order of segregation, hatred, slavery, and exploitation. The construction period of 1853 and 1865 resulted in the Unite Order of the Christian lily-white world of organized labor, agricultural, industrial, and commercial unionism and military procedure, which made the Roman nations the mistress of the seven seas. The manifestation of the Knights of Columbus of the KKK. The Union of 1853 to 1865 was the manifestation of the Knights of Columbus and the KKK, of which involved some 500 million people of red or ruddy pale skin with long hair, which comprised 1/4 of the world's population of 2,160,000,000. The Asiatic nation comprised 3/4 of the world's population, and the European nations of the Roman Cross Order of Christ and Mary comprised 1/4. The celebrative Magna Carta of colonial North America, which granted freedom to the blond masses, which defined in English as one body. The celebrative Magna Carta is the document which granted economic, social, and commercial freedom and equality to all people of ruddy pale skin with long hair or flaxen, regardless to race, rebel, and religiousism or politicalism faith. The process, Governor-elect Talmadge of Georgia and Senator Bilbo of Mississippi had reference to over the Meet the Press in 1946. The celebrative story of Abraham Lincoln involving the freedom of the Moorish descendants referred to as Negroes is played up falsely. The insignia of the United States dime of 1865 represents the staff of the Roman Axe, the United White Order, which unfortunately left Moorish or Asiatic descendants on the outside looking in. Universally, during the past 93 years of Roman economic, social, and commercial stride, Father Abraham, the god of the Roman Union, involving the North and South Pole, July 4th and January 1st, Lincoln. If you are skeptical, you might denounce the names such as Negro, Colored, Black, and African Go to the library, ask for the history of the Moorish Empire, your history, and carefully observe the white servants' reactions. This is the history the European American has thought you would never know. Nevertheless, you have the fundamentals in this book, namely Clock of Destiny. The two empires during the past 1,367 years of the new era of Islam. During the past 1,367 years, there have been only two world empires, namely the Moorish Empire of the Order of Islam and the Roman Empire of the Order of Christ and Mary. The Order of Christ is 173 years old, calculated from 1774, the era which resulted in the birth of the United States Marine Force in colonial North America. The cream of the legions referred to as pirates. During the Moorish world domination, there was no Europe, England, France, Greece, Rome, Egypt, Africa, China, Japan, or Russia across the Atlantic and the Pacific Oceans. Therefore, United States history of the Christian order might be compared with that of the celebrated story referred to as Santa Claus mythology. Did you ever stop to think that on the most sacred day of the Christian order, namely December 25th, the Christian nations promulgate the world's greatest false myth of Santa Claus? Remember, 25th of December is the foundation of the philosophy of Christ and Mary. Now you can be reasoned, draw your own conclusion upon the white image strange Son of God who lend deaf ears to hear your plea or prayers. Nations without a flag to represent them are dead nations. That is to say, their names are not written in the universal book of law or nature. Red people, white people, Indians, Negroes, colored, Africans, yellow people, black people, and Jews have no flag to represent them due to the fact that no such people exist. The entire human family comprise only amalgamated Asiatics and Europeans. The banner of the Star and Crescent, or the flag with the moon and the 5-point star in the center, is the insignia of the Asiatic or Moorish nation, and it is the mother of all national banners of the world today. The Moorish flag, namely the Star and Crescent, represents the entire human family, some 2,160,000,000 people upon this ball of mud termed Earth. It gave birth to the banner of the Iron Cross legions, or the German tribes of South America, from which sprang the French banner, and the banner of the Stars and Stripes, and the banner with the double cross or 8 points, which represents the British caste. The House of Lords of the Roman world, with all power, political and commercial, openly and secretly directed from the United States, e pluribus unum, on United States money, is a Latin phrase which implies one of many, one nation of many races and sub-nations of the Roman cross order. Anglus is a Latin or Spanish phrase which defines as English. The history of the Moorish nation lies in the library of every state of the Union. The history of the Moorish nation, our forefathers, lies hidden in the library of every state of the Union, and also in the library of practically every home of European Americans, referred to as white people. Therefore, the history of the Moorish Empire is not news to them, for they have been guided by the history of the Moors, under potent influence of fear and hatred during the past 93 years, calculated from 1865. The basic reason why Asiatics can never become Christians. It is impossible for the people of heavy olive and live olive hue of skin, commonly known as dark brown and light brown, to ever become a Christian because of this fact. The Christian worship a white Son of God and his white mother Mary, and every image of themselves. The Christian God is definitely pale because his only begotten Son is tangible evidence. You might ask yourself this question: what chance do I have to enter the gates of Christian heaven dominated by a white God, his Son, and his Son's mother Mary? The very image of the woman who falsely cries rape, followed by sons, cross burning and lynching. Such is the Christian nation's heaven, dominated by the white woman, quote unquote, the God of hatred, fear, crime, and corruption. On the contrary, there was a specific reason for the new masses of humanity, referred to as white people, to establish the church and false doctrine of Christ and Mary. So let us observe the reason in order that we might take a broad view which will enable us to erase the hatred against them which is now dominating our nature. It has already been stated elsewhere in this book that during the past 1,367 years there has been only two world empires, namely the Moorish Empire, the Order of Islam, and the Christian Empire, the Order of Christ and the Order of Christ. During the world domination of the Moorish nation, the blonde women of Patagonia, South America, had manifested their culture high in the society of Islam, which qualified them to establish the society of the cross, laden with mystery and emotional false doctrines, as a positive weapon of liberating themselves from the amalgamated, iron-handed rulers or dictators who had shielded the secrets of nature as shown in the signs of the zodiac and established a doctrine of mystery and religious superstition by force. As a result, the following amalgamated generation of Moorish fathers and blonde mothers grew up in ignorance of the science of the 12 signs of the zodiac and the applied principles of Islam, which in turn resulted in the corruption of the society of Islam. Under the influence of Islamism, of variable, unreasonable procedures of religious worships, strenuous, mysterious prayers, and the restrictions of literary education to common masses. The corrupt process of the selfish, jealous, amalgamated rulers of the Muslim world converted the society of Islam intragemination, human caste, slavery, economic and social degradation, crime, bloodshed, and human destruction, from which was born the army of the mystic banner of the cross, led by militant white women or Patagonian blondes, supported by many wise Muslim women and sons struggling for freedom, which resulted in some 364 years of intermittent conflict from Peru to Alaska and across the Pacific and Atlantic Oceans in the Northern Hemisphere. A great battle between two different types of religious superstitions, namely Islamism and Crossism, referred to as the great battle between the crescent and the cross, or Muhammad and Christ, the period of crucifixion, lynching, burning, and murdering one another over ideas of impractical isms and mystery of variety, which has dominated the world for some 400 years and has manifested with the racial and color scheme of corruption. The Muslims, with their strenuous ism of mystic religious worship and superstition, are not guilty of the establishment of the race and color scheme. They are guilty of the caste system and the segregation according to class and rank and method of mystic or superstitious religious worship in the institution called mosque, from which was born the institution of worship called church, and the race and color scheme with its marriage license laws established by the Patagonian blonde women of South America. This system prohibits the issuance of marriage licenses to Moorish men or women who desire to marry white women or men in North America, especially in the United States, upon which was born out of the church system, namely the Catholics, Protestants, Baptists, and the Jury of Jewish Temple of the United States in North America. The selfish act of the amalgamated Muslims brought shame upon the Order of Islam. Had not the selfish Muslims of the Order of Islam established the superstitious religious system contrary to the universal economic and social science as shown in the 12 signs of the zodiac and mathematic, there would have been no superstitious religious order of Christ and Mary. Therefore, the definite fact is that both, namely the Muslims and the Christians, or Asiatics and Europeans, of the entire earth are equally guilty for violation of the law of nature, as shown in the 12 signs of the ever-present zodiac, which has caused them to undergo the grim law of retribution. The Moorish nation, submitting to the grim law of retribution in 1774 to 76, and the Roman cross nations submitted to the grim law of retribution in 1914 to fulfill in 1954. This will culminate a short cycle of 40 years. 1954 will make the definite end of the doctrine of the daughters of the revolution, namely church mystery, the image of themselves and race and color. Civilization is founded upon practical wisdom and the morals of women. The Moorish or Asiatic women have undergone everything which could have been imposed upon them, yet they have retained their morals. You may compare the acts of the kinky-haired Moorish or Asiatic women of the United States and abroad with the acts of the European or blonde women of the United States and abroad, and thereby draw your own conclusion during the next 7 years of global economic and social revolution. Thousands of blonde women and sons will resort to suicide while undergoing the 7 years of economic and social revolution. The kinky-haired women of the United States and abroad are the ones who will restore civilization and peace to the world during the next 7 years. Geometry and the 12 signs of the zodiac constitute the prophetic law, which has never told a lie. The economic suffering of the blonde women of Rome, England, France, Germany, and Greece, and the mythical Palestine will fulfill the blonde women of the United States, Canada, and Australia during the next 7 years. Nature has a just law. It is the grim law of retribution. Wishful thinking, lip service, hypocritical prayer, wealth, atomic bombs, universal military training, and the wooden or stone image white god definitely cannot offset the grim law of retribution during the next 7 years. Economic chaos will make the blonde people of the USA hate the names such as white people. After the cycle of retribution had fulfilled with the Asiatics of the United States, the kinky-haired woman began to give birth to children who have become champions of the world in every important department of human society. Remember, champions of the world do not have to beg for social recognition. The daughters of the revolution will end begging the Asiatics of the United States for social recognition. The law of retribution cannot be altered. We reap that which has been sown in the past. I don't know if you have any comments from that.
Yeah. Actually have a concept.
Right. All right. Right. Right.
Actually read those because those are the ones that I've been reading these past few days.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, it really explains it all, you know.
That and that's why you might hear Moors talk negative about CMB.
Yeah.
And his relation to the movement,
Yeah.
because what he was doing was he was just taking it a little bit further historically than where Noble Drew Ali was going with it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? Let me get this other book right here.
Just bring them a firm truth, you know. Yeah.
Right.
That's the truth of it, you know. The Moors, the dirty Moors, you know, they defaulted, you know, they made the wrong choices.
Right.
Just as the Europeans did. So you know,
Exactly.
full circle.
Exactly. Right. This is Moors and Mexicans. You could probably try to get this one off RV Bay.
That's RV, okay.
Yeah, right. Moors and Mexicans. Page 45.
Definitely got to do my library.
Yeah, that's what it's about. That's what it's about. Page 45. Moors misnamed Indians. The Moors of Northwest Amexem, Africa, America, have also been falsely branded or tagged as Indians. This misnomer has origin with the shipping records of Cristobal Colon, Christopher Columbus of Genoa. He was a seaman who worked for a Portuguese merchant service. He learned to be a master merchant in the 1470s. After about 8 years of humble requests, Colon was funded to make his now famous voyage by way of support from the monarchs Isabella and Ferdinand, who had earlier merged their kingdoms, Aragon and Castile, to effectively defeat the Moors at Granada España, Spain, Andalusia in 1492, or 912 Moorish calendar. They agreed to risk the expenditures of Cristobal Colon's voyage, and due to the brevity and the eventual change in world dominance, the influence 1492 became the axis year used by world scholars to determine the distinction between ancient history and modern history. Ancient is when the Moors ruled. Modern is of Christendom, Inquisition, conquest, and domination. An important yet little spoken of motivation for Crusader interest in obtaining access to Hindustan, India was this: riches and wealth. There were three major dynasties of note which formed the high spiritual art and cosmological culture of Perot, which was later renamed Hindustan a few hundred years prior by the Moors. These were the Mauryan dynasty, the Nanda dynasty, and the Gupta dynasty. These were the most influential of all dynasties of ancient Perot, Hindustan. The coveting European nations were always envious of the gold, silver, exotic spices, and artifacts that the Moors were known to produce, possess, and have control of, coming from Hindustan, India. The warmongering Anglos-Englishmen called Hindustan, Industan, and thus the origin of the shortened word Indi and Indian. The H was silent and not pronounced, thus Hindi by English accent sounds like Indi. Christopher Columbus, Cristobal Colon, set sail from Palos, España, Andalusia on day 3 of August in the year 1492 with 3 small ships. These ships were named Pinta, the Nina, and Santa Maria. Cristobal Colon commanded the Santa Maria, Martin Pinzon commanded the Pinta, and Vicente Yanez Pinzon commanded the Nina. They cautiously sailed into the waters of the Atlantis, and in spite of later threats of mutinies and insurrection, Cristobal Colon succeeded in keeping order. They eventually sighted one of the islands of the Bahamas, an archipelago of about 700 islands and inlets. When Colon reached the shore and saw the natural people, he called them Indi, as they were so like in looks and with similar culture to the Moors of Hindustan, India. Colon logged the native people as Indians, although he knew they were not Indians. However, though contrary to truth, the Indian moniker has been maintained and repeatedly documented by opportunistic colonial writers, European sociologists, and by Reconstruction historians that this is how the native Moabite Moorish tribes and natural peoples of the Western Hemisphere became falsely known as Indians of the West and thus West Indians. Columbus was honored by the monarchs of España, Spain, Andalusia, and by most other nations of Europe. It was widely and erroneously assumed that he had discovered the long elusive route to the east, Hindustan, by sailing west. Others, including John II of Portugal, held the position that Columbus had really came upon the islands in the Atlantic Ocean, which were previously claimed by Portugal. Pope Alexander II addressed the issue twice and decreed in support of Spain's claim to Columbus's alleged discoveries. He made 3 more voyages to America between the years 1494 and 1502. He explored Borinquen, Puerto Rico, the Virgin Islands, Jamaica, and Trinidad. Each time that Columbus returned to Europe, he was more certain that he had actually reached the east. Explorations made later by the other Europeans, however, convinced most everyone that Christopher Columbus had actually discovered a different place, which they called the New World. One fact is sure, and that is it remains true that Columbus never reached Hindustan, India, and that the natural peoples and civilization who he came to allegedly discover were in fact not Indians. Anasazi. Anasazi is an adjective which refers to the ancient geographical division line between Al-Moroccans of the north parcels of northwest Amexem and that of Meheku or Mexico, of the south part of the northwest Amalgam. The Anasazi divisional line, the surrounding areas, and the natural peoples of the adjacent lands are loosely referred to as Anasazi, which essentially means the ancient ones, and of the Dominion divisional line of the North Gate, North American lands. And so we refer to our land areas, our culture, and natural peoples around and involving the plateau of northern Arizona, New Mexico, and the adjacent areas of Colorado and of Utah as Anasazi. When Anasazi is applied as a noun and strictly to the natural peoples, we are referring loosely to the Navajo tribes, collective of the ancient ones, which consists of 50 tribes who blended with and assimilated with the more technically advanced ancient Moabite tribes who came down from the north. Thus the word or terrestrial term alien was often attached. This reference to alien was like a nickname, which had much to do with the known and extensive ancient history of the Moabites, chronicles of interstellar space travel, aerial geography, and mappa mundi. Many signs and references to their space journeys and adventures are depicted in old sketches on rocks, in caves, and by extraordinary and large geometric figures etched into the landscape. And so, the precocious among the Anasazi were also sometimes referred to as alien ancient ones, because they were advanced in their thinking and were astral travelers. They were also known to be resistant to the Inquisitionists and strongly opposed Demo-European expansionism and colonialism. The Anasazi were also known to reject or sometimes kill the sellout indigenes among the natural people, who became agents or scouts against their own people for the exploitative European conquerors. And so the word Anasazi is used in both noun and adjective form, but is not of nor in itself the true identity of the natural people, but more a designation to, or in reference to, a larger confederation or union of indigene tribes initiated by and commanded by the ancient ones. Aboriginals and indigenes of America. We Moorish Al-Moroccans Americans, descendants of the ancient ones, will now share a little ancient chronology which has been duly suppressed by the occupational forces and colonists from Europe. We must responsibly do this and share this with the unconscious among us in order to foster and give support to unity and brotherly considerations among ourselves and toward our Mexican national extended family. The corrupt and negative effects of European colonialism have brought the Western Hemisphere downward into foul, destabilized, and troubling states and conditions of duress and confusion. What is the truth about ancient Canaanite Moabite history in Al-Morocc, America? What ancient history has been buried or suppressed by the European occupational colonists and inquisitionists who now extort, misgovern, and negatively dominate the political arenas in the Americas? What is the ancient Moabite, Moorish, and Mexican historical connection? Well, here it is. We will share some of the ancient Moorish chronicles with our extended families, trusting to restore some of the semblance of our honor and truth to the situation. The following is an excerpt from the Holy Koran, Circle 7 of the Moorish Holy Temple of Science, founded by Prophet Noble Drew Ali, Sheikh Sharif Abdul Ali. Professor Drew, as he was sometimes called, was the great restorer and redeemer of the ancient Moorish consciousness and high science culture of North America. The Divine Instructions from the Prophet, chapter 45, 47. Egypt, the capital empire of the Dominion of Africa. The inhabitants of Africa are the descendants of the ancient Canaanites from the land of Canaan. Old Man Cush and his family are the first inhabitants of Africa who came from the land of Canaan. His father Ham and his family were second. Then came the word Ethiopia, which means the demarcation line of the Dominion of Amalgam, the first and true divine name of Africa, the dividing of the land between the father and son. The Dominion of Cush, northeast and southeast Africa, and northwest and southwest was his father's dominion of Africa. In later years, Many of their brethren from Asia and the Holy Lands joined them. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They are the founders and true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa, across the great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexican and the Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. Right? Let's start there for a sec. So, like when we build with people who do the going back to Africa, that they have to go back to Africa in order to, you know, find their culture or whatever, right? This is the chapter to use to show that even if you're claiming that Africa is where you come from and not America, the dominion and inhabitation of the Moabites were from over there to over here. So even they have the claim to say that they're Moors, even if they're saying that they come from the continent, right? Because again too, like using Noble Drew Ali as a reference is hard, because nobody wants to accept the fact that he's the last prophet and whatever, right? They want to call Selassie prophet and Marcus Garvey prophet and all these people prophets, but you know what, like when we compare all their writings to Noble Drew Ali's writings, there's no real researchable historical reference points that those people give, right? There's some stuff, but there's nothing in great detail like this.
Right. It's more. Right. It's more so motivational type of stuff.
Right. Exactly. Right. Get your energy going. Get you pumped up or whatever. Right. Right. The river Nile was dredged and made by the ancient pharaohs of Egypt in order to trade with the surrounding kingdoms. Also, the Niger River was dredged by the great pharaoh of Egypt, and in those ancient days for trade, and it extended eastward from the river Nile westward across the great Atlantic. Right? So there's another one again, that the river Nile, even though it was on that side, it extended westward across the great Atlantic to this side.
Which the Mississippi would be.
Right, the Mississippi would be the mirror reflection of the Nile. Right? And all those things there is all those things there is like common sense stuff. That all you do is, you know, if there's two rivers in the world that flow south to north, and one's the Mississippi and one's the Nile, obviously they're relative.
Exactly.
You know what I'm saying? Right?
I have a question as far as our ancestors astral traveling and the metaphysical aspect. So what is your take on that as far as the astral traveling goes? Do you think the ancestors, they moved on to a higher dimension? As far as on that aspect, do you know anything about that as far as the astral traveling aspect of things?
I would take the position like what Noble Drew Ali took, that, you know, certain work can't be done on the earth plane. So when you do what you're supposed to do on the earth plane, then time to get out of here and go to another level and then continue there.
And that's just like Mathino talking to John.
Right, exactly.
Past.
Right.
And there's work to be done on higher level.
On the higher level, right. You know what I mean? So it, like, people would, if they want to sell you an idea, you know what I mean, they'll make astral traveling something where, you know, you meditate and sit down in the lotus position and whatever and all that, and then you astral travel. That's not astral traveling if your body's still here. You know what I mean? Like, you have to relieve the body in order to astral travel. You know? And I can't remember who it was that was talking about. I can't remember if it was Phil Valentine or Azariah or somebody, but one of the things that stuck was if you're doing any type of astral, leave your body, whatever, just remember that other entities could take your body, and when you try to get back in your body, you can't get in. And then that's how when we hear, you know, like you know, well, oh, he was such a good guy, you know, I can't believe that he'd do something like that or whatever, you know. And then they show the pictures after the you know, this man goes, shoots up somewhere or whatever, and he's in a daze, he doesn't know, and then they blame MK Ultra or whatever like that, you know, saying that he's a puppet or something, when really, you know, man was on high science, he left his body and couldn't get back into his body because entity took his body over. Went and did some madness, left the body, and now, because, you know, the body's yours. It's not like, you know, like we were born in this time and space. So if an entity takes over your body, it's only going to use it for a certain period of time to do what it has to do, then it's going to be out, because it can't really stay in the body. You know, that's what the whole thing with the Exorcist movies is about. That the demons could come in, but you know, if you have the good holy water, you get them out. You know.
Is that portrayed as far as the higher self, lower self?
Right.
Lower self being that entity, that lower self is like, you know. Is it really when you say entities, is the entity that lower self that people are that's attacking the people?
No, like, I mean, let's call them higher, lower beings.
Right. Okay. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Right? Beings that aren't of the physical, they're of the ether, but they're not, you know,
part of the negative energy.
Yeah, they're the negative frequencies. Or like Dr. York talks about the agreeable and the disagreeable beings. You know, so, you know, like there's even in the sense of like, you know, like something happened and you get mad at something, and then, you know, you catch yourself like, damn, you know, you come back to yourself. You know, that's those. That might be an entity that just attached onto you for a period of time. Not necessarily, because, you know, they're all around, but it's about us having our higher self in motion or functional, so that our aura is projected far enough that those entities can't even touch us, much less even want to come near to us. You know, like a good example of that is like when you go on the bus or whatever, and everybody's taking every seat around except the 2 seats next to you. You know what I mean? And people stand up opposed to come sit next to you. You know, much less if you know, you have on your kufi, or you have on your fez, or, you know, you're just radiating, you know, the frequency, because, you know, you woke up, you did your push-ups, pull-ups, or whatever. You know what I'm saying? You know, you exude that God energy. You know what I mean? And you know, Noble Drew Ali came to teach us how to cultivate that. So it's not just, you know, out there and chasing people. You know? Right? According to all true and divine records of the human race, there is no Negro, black, colored race attached to the human family, because all the inhabitants of Africa were and are of the human race, descendants of the ancient Canaanite nation from the holy land of Canaan. What our ancient, okay, and also too, when the people who are fighting against this, when they get to this part about Canaanite or whatever, they go to that, the Bible reference of Canaan, right? What you could research is a group of people called Amalekites.
Amalekites?
Yeah, Amalekites. And I think there was I think it was in like a Hebrew encyclopedia or something like that talked about it, and Hakeem Bey had a lecture called Moorish Assassins, where he talked about it. And the Amalekites are before the Canaanites. right? What your ancient forefathers were, you are today without doubt or contradiction. There is no one who is able to change the descendant nature of his forefathers unless his power extends beyond the great universal creator Allah himself. These holy and divine laws are from the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, the founder of the Moorish Science Temple of America. These laws are to be strictly preserved by the members of all the temples of the Moorish Science Temple of America, that they will learn to open their meetings and guide it according to the principles of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. Every subordinate temple of the Grand Major Temple is to form under the covenant of love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, and to create their own laws and customs in conjunction with the laws of the Holy Prophet and the Grand Temple. I, the Prophet Noble Jew Ali, was sent by the great God Allah to warn all Asiatics of America to repent from their sinful ways before the great and lawful day which is sure to come. The time has come where every nation must worship under its own vine and fig tree, and every tongue must confess his own. Through sin and disobedience, every nation has suffered slavery due to the fact that they honored not the creed and principles of their forefathers. This is why the nationality of the Moors was taken away from them in 1774, and the words Negro, black, and colored was given to the Asiatics of America who were of Moorish descent, because they honored not the principles of their mother and father, and strayed after the gods of Europe of whom they knew nothing. It must be remembered that the continental land area, which is now called Africa by modern geographic and historical altering, was originally called South Asia by the Moabite Moors. Note the historical surah, including verses 6 and 7, relates to the ancient dominions of the Moabite Moors. Note the following excerpts. The Moabites from the land of Moab, who received permission from the pharaohs of Egypt to settle and inhabit northwest Africa. They were the founders and true possessors of the present Moroccan Empire, with their Canaanite, Hittite, and Amorite brethren who sojourned from the land of Canaan seeking new homes. Their dominion and inhabitation extended from northeast and southwest Africa across the great Atlantis, even unto the present North, South, and Central America, and also Mexico and Atlantis Islands, before the great earthquake which caused the great Atlantic Ocean. And so we can see, as presented in this map, that Mexico, Mexico, is geographically a part of northwest Amexem, and the original part of the ancient dominion of the Moabites Moors. Mexico, Meheku, is located at the lower southern part of northwest Amexem, America. Contrary to fictional and repugnant claims by European colonists, the Mexicans are, without doubt or contradiction, a direct part of the ancient natural peoples and are indigenous Al-Moroccans Americans. Mexico, Mexico, is rightfully associated with America and are American by heritage and birthright. Mexico is America, and Mexicans are Americans, Al-Moroccans. An American cannot be an immigrant to America. This geopolitical truth and fact applies to all other indigenous Asiatics of the Americas, and also the natural peoples of the adjoining islands, Americana. We indigenes are Al-Moroccan by pedigree, heritage, and birthright, and are rightfully proud of it. It is not a negative pride, but a pride of honor and self-recognition in the face of colonial fakery and oppression. The restoration of true birthright heritage, true history, rightful inheritance of the gold, silver, and commerce, and the restoration of justice to our families awaits our mistreated offspring. Right? Let's see what else is down here.
Pointed those out though, because.
Say that again?
No, I'm saying it's good that you you're pointing these out.
Yeah.
You're trying to, like I had texted you earlier asking about, how to bring in our Latin, brothers and sisters.
Right. And it's, the only people that could do it is us.
Exactly.
That's the other part about it, right? Because, you know, like, it's just like in King Alfred plan, when it talks about there'll be no political asylum available in any other countries to the people who are bound to this continent by heritage, which the Mexicans are bound to this continent by heritage. So there's nowhere else for them to get any assistance from. You know what I mean?
That's
you know,
gonna be a big connection too.
yeah, right? Because majority of them, you know, they're going through what we went through, but their attack is more political, right? Their attack is more, well, get them out the way indirectly, because they can't really, you know, like they say that they're immigrants, but they don't send them back anywhere if they're immigrants. You know what I mean? They're immigrants, but they keep them here.
Yeah.
You know, right? You know, just like the so-called natives, right?
And is it more so that they're calling them immigrants because they're claiming to be Mexican?
We can look at it like that, yeah. Yeah, because if they claim their birthright,
right,
they wouldn't be foreign.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Even though, you know, Mexico is connected to Olmecs,
right?
You know, the word or the name Mexico is connected to Olmecs. It still causes the jurisdictional issue,
right?
Because we're still claiming something that we're not. You know, like they're better off saying indigenous than saying Mexicans even. You know? Let's see what else. Alright, this is Treaty of Peace and Friendship book. Right? Again, RV Bay, because you know we don't stray too far from, right? We keep it RV Bay. Page 18, the Renaissance, 14th and 16th centuries. The Renaissance, pronounced Ren, R-E-H-N, A-A-H, Sans, S-A-H-N-S, was a masterful and massive socialization act of incalculating and instituting substantial high culture and superlunary advanced civilization by the invocation of a humanitarian humanist movement. The Renaissance was initiated by, administered by, and heavily promoted by the Moors, Al-Moroccans. The word Renaissance means to be born again, and this masterful undertaking began during the early part of the 1300s, with its initiation taking place in the land areas of Europe called Andalusia, Spain, and Italia, Italy. This transitional time was an inconstant and tenuous period in European history. The 1300s would correspond with the 800s of the Moorish calendar. In accord with many history books, the 1300s would be referred to as the 14th century. The Renaissance involved a massive and protracted interjection and promulgation of arts, letters, and classics, mathematics, medicine, literature, chivalry, grammatication, orthology, architecture, engineering, horticulture, anatomy, alchemy, chemistry, algebra, astrology, astronomy, geography, cosmology, cosmogony, yoga, chess, Gnosticism, jurisprudence, and principles upon which to sustain moral and ethical government, etc. The most potent and influential era of the Renaissance was from the 14th to 16th centuries. Thus it spanned from the 1300s until the 1500s. That was when the greatest and most direct impact was made. These intellectual, linguistic, scientific, and cultural advancements, etc., set solid, tried and true, and lasting foundations for variable and progressive advancements that establish reliable groundwork for the Europeans. These ancient yet advanced civilization Moabite principles and precepts enabled the Europeans to refine and to improve their architectural, and horticultural skills. Their capacities to better design cities, provinces, and towns, and to build to improve that which already existed, were quickly accelerated. These opportune and advocatory upliftments by the Moors gave them the substance and means to establish, to stabilize, meaningful universities and other social, economic, and viable political institutions. If not for the Renaissance, the Europeans Romans would have continued to suffer under the destructive, suppressive, and superstition-laden Dark Ages. Europe would not have achieved the scientific and cultural capacity to expand into a world power in later centuries. Therefore, true European history, relative to its laudable advancements, would not have been made possible had it not been for the Moors. True European history and developments cannot stand as self-initiated. Truth projects that it must be told with honor and reviewed by acknowledging it as an absolute and indisputable appendage and tied to Moorish history. Therefore, let the record show that such truths have rarely been placed in proper and true perspectives and should be summarily restored to contemporary literature. Right? So even in this part, we're talking about even dirty Moors play a part in this, because when we were in the Black Power whatever school of thought, right, and we did our research, we would research the time frame of slavery, right, and then we get to 1492, and then we stop there, and then we talk about all the books that, you know, all the historians wrote, right? They talk about the slavery period, and they get to 1492, they stop there, and then they jump over the Renaissance period, and then they go to ancient Kemet, Sumeria, Phoenicians, whatever, and everybody leaves out that 700 years of the Moorish history that everybody else knows and everybody else talks about, right? Right? Because remember, like, the aspect or the perspective of Moorish history is the crippling point of what we're going through. That's it. That's a negative to us. Like, once we get to the Moorish history part, that's where the freedom lies. Knowing that part. Because we've known everything else. We've known about, you know, ancient history. We know about modern history. But that 700-year time frame right there, right, is what is missing in order for us to really get our self back in order. Because if we would know the impact that the Moors had in Italy, Spain, Portugal, etc., right, you know, our perspective of who we are would change overnight. It would be an instant change, right?
I gotta work on delivering that to the people. So.
Right, you know, and then all that comes back to when we're talking about delivering that message, you know. Drawley said to change people, we have to change their literature. And the only way we're going to change the literature is if we put this stuff out. You know what I mean? And you know, like Taj will tell you, you know, that's why we have the book small, so we can put out more books. Instead of putting out, you know, 500-page book that, you know, Negro, black, colored, they're not going to read anyways. Put out a little 30, 40 pager, you know what I mean? And you can get more information out that way, right? You know?
I might have to set something up with Ty, see if we can get like a bulk wholesale of books in, you know?
Yeah, that's how we got all our stuff.
For real?
Yeah, because that's how they do.
Okay.
You know what I mean? That's how they do. It's not like, you know, and that's how you know the Moors to get with. Oh yeah, thanks for reminding me.
Yes, Camelback.
Right? You know, if we the Moors that are active, right? You know, like how people talk about, you know, like they were going, everybody makes that call, oh, there's no unity amongst the Moors and all this whatever. You know, the Moors are separated, and until we get unity, but then when you look at the charter, it says unity, and then everybody has that charter, and then everybody has this flag right here, right? And then everybody has a fez, and everybody has like the, you know, the pendant with the circle 7 or the crescent moon, or they have, you know, some type of headwear on or whatever, right? But then they're gonna say that there's no unity, which is a contradiction. And if you're contrary to what is, you oust yourself. They put themselves out the car.
A lot of times that's exactly what it is.
You know what I mean? Right? Because if whether they're dirty, clean, passive, religious, whatever, if everybody has a Moroccan flag, that's unity.
Exactly. Yeah.
Period. I don't care what you say or whatever you claim or whatever. You know what I mean? You have no claim because you're expressing unity by us having the same custom standards. Everybody say Noble Drew Ali's the prophet. That's unity.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? So, you know, as Moors that are active, you know, like, yeah, I go at them, but I go at them to school people who might be in confusion. You know, I don't go at them to, you know what I mean, go at them.
Yeah.
You know, I go at them on Facebook because I know there's another 200, 300, 400 people that's sitting there, that they're sitting there wondering like, yo, what's going on with the Moorish movement? Oh, well, you know, that guy he made a good comment right there. Oh, let me just go research that or whatever. Even if it's one person that does that, you know, I mean, job's done. You know what I'm saying? You know, and it's imperative that Moors who are active, let me not say Moors who are active, young Moors who are active, that they step up and put out what they know. Because a lot of Moors have the info, but, you know, because of how the dirty Moors approach new Moors think that they don't have the info. Because when they say something, oh yeah, this guy who says he's Grand Sheikh or Supreme Grand Sheikh or, you know, has a Moorish American party or whatever, he's gonna jump on me and whatever. Yo, let him jump. Because truth doesn't need no apology. You know what I mean? You know? And I purposely go hard at them for that reason. Right? Just because. If we don't say anything, we acquiesce. And we're not trying to acquiesce if IRS or Canada Revenue Agency or whoever sends you a letter, say you owe $1 million tomorrow, or, you know, you're going to debtor's prison, we're going to send them a writ ASAP. We're not going to sit back and go, oh, forget those guys, you know, they're just talking, whatever, you know, whatever. We're going to do something about it. Because to default means that you consent to that crap. You know? And I'm not giving up the birthright so easy. Just because, you know, these guys are, you know, like people have all gone to the level of, you know, when they get Trump, now they're standing on violence now. You know what I mean? Now they're threatening people. Oh, yeah, well, what? You couldn't say that to my face and all those type of stuff. You know what I mean? Right? What are you talking about? You know, that's not what. You know, like my statement is for those people who want this. You know, who are scared of you bullies. Because enough dirty Moors are bullies. Especially on Facebook or whatever, where they could just put a picture and not show their face and whatever, not put their address up and all that. You know? That's why my number's out there. Nobody doesn't call me. All these guys out there that's talking whatever smack, they don't call me to have a conversation like, yo, you know what, you said this, let's talk about this right now. They don't call nobody. Why not? Because they have no honor. You know what I'm saying? You know? And again, it comes back to right 360 with the Renaissance. Right? That was an honorable thing that the Moors did during that time. You take these people in the Dark Ages, you know, there's a I wish I remembered the author, man. There's a book out there. I read it one time and I lost the book. There's a book out there called Dirt, Dirt, and it's talking about the Dark Ages and it's talking about the lifestyles of the people during the Dark Ages, and it was talking about like how like they would, you know, like shit in a bucket, throw it out the window, and the guy's under there, and shit falls on that guy, and he's just like, oh, you know, whatever, that's just every day, whatever, you know what I mean? It talked about how the Europeans used to have fleas. Right? The Europeans used to have fleas, so in order to get the fleas off of them, that's how fur coats came.
Yeah, I actually read about. Well, I think I watched something that had.
Right. Yeah. Right. They were talking about he was talking about even with the crew, like the Christopher Columbus crew and all that. And when they were talking about the mutiny on the ship, and everybody wants to, you know, try to kill Christopher Columbus, throw him overboard or whatever, because they looked over the side, they saw a dolphin, and they're saying that, oh yeah, he took them into like waters with sea monsters and all this type of stuff, and these guys want to go back home if you don't turn the boat around or whatever, you know what I mean, right? Like literally ready to throw a man overboard because they saw a dolphin in the ocean. You know what I'm saying? That was how low their frequency was. Their vibration was so low, and just like the thing saying, if it wasn't for the Moors, they would have nothing right now. You know what I mean? When you talk about disease, like all types of disease, like disease that it was just a nasty time. You know what I mean? Like imagine living somewhere and everybody's a bum. Like everybody's eating out the garbage. Everybody doesn't bathe, right? Everybody doesn't brush their teeth. You know, like crazy. You have Clock of Destiny 1 over there, or 2? I mean, you have 2.
Yeah, I had 1 and 2. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, just so I could skip those ones.
Which one that?
That's cool. I was going to ask you, as far as them coming from the mountains, you know, them being originally Neanderthals or something like that.
Right.
As far as their creation, I know our ancestors, you know, we all come from one human family. As far as how they developed, did we create them with a so-called monkey? Did you say?
Oh, let me get that. Hold on.
I never really dove into that too much, you know, because I really try to focus on us and not put the vibration to them, but...
Yeah, no, I hear you. It's all good.
Yeah, it's in the clock, though. I need that. One of the copies. That's my stuff, man. I got some new. You ever have some new?
Yeah. Again, you know, RV Bay, and then this one's the nigger problem. Right? And then, right?
Oh yeah, and I can't remember what I was watching. They're talking about when you shave a monkey, they'll have like red skin up under.
Right. Exactly.
Some people can't take that truth though.
Yo, truth is what it is.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Truth is what it is. Trying to find, or is it in? Oh yeah, okay. Wrong book. Yeah. Nigger industry. Right? Again, you know, RV Bay, because you can't go wrong. You can't go wrong with some Taj books. The substitution of nigger brands and the displacement of nationality. Nationality is a social quality of being part of a nation. A free national name is the common indicator of those who are part of a nation. Pedigree is a noun which defines a line of ancestors and family bloodline lineage. Pedigree denotes descent and genealogical relationships. Nationality implies a genealogical relationship as well as a confirmed and verifiable political connection to a specific identified nation, co-joined with written or publicly known allegiance, right? So that's the same thing that we were talking about earlier, right? The written or publicly known allegiance connecting us to a nation is we all have the same flag, we all have fezzes on, we all say Noble Drew Ali is the prophet, we all say Holy Koran is the holy book. We like all those are the things that make us connected to the nation, right? Showing our allegiance. Also too, this is why when you write writs and all that, and you're sending writs out, that you're sending writs also to temples or Moors that you're affiliated with to show allegiance.
Right.
So when they look at it and they see, okay, well, you know, you sent it to Barack Obama, you sent it to The Hague, you sent it to International Criminal Court, you sent it to the Provost Marshal, but then you also sent it to Moorish Science Temple 1, Moorish Science Temple 10, you send it to, you know, RV Bay Publications, you sent it to whoever. You're showing that you have allegiance with other Moors out there, right? So that you're not just a lone ranger. Those among the family who may only have a vague understanding about the true nature and origins of what has been artfully tagged as race relations may be easily misled into supporting the modern man's deliberate infection of a society by way of corrupt culture, which has been deemed and labeled as race hatred. Keep in mind the fact that there is but one race on the earth planet. The said race is the human race. The human race is deduced and expanded into extended families which are universally known as nations and nationalities. There is nonetheless a scientific explanation of how the unqualified so-called races were made or experimentally created. Central America, was the ancient geographical location of the Capitolium for the Moabite nation. Moabite is the ancient name of the Moorish nation. A marked distinction between the Moabite nation and the directly descended Moorish nation is that the Moabite nation was a matriarchy and the descended Moorish nation is a patriarchy. There is much more which can be addressed, but that part of history is not the subject of this writing. We will, with limitations, address the Jacobian experiment as a subject and issue in a minimal format to remove the vague inferences concerning races. A more extensive scientific and historical dissertation on the contemporary development of the race as a human family condition is dealt with and explained on a broader scale in the Moabite Moorish chronicles relative to the ancient Moabite Jacobian experiments. The technology used for these biological and hybrid experiments took place at the Great Pyramid University in the Yucatan Peninsula, Central Amalgam, Africa, America. Awareness of these ancient experiments is crucial to one's having a proper understanding of the modern and contemporary human conditioning. The ancient Jacob experiments, however, were the original foundation and basis for today's scientific hybrids, genetics, and biological research and technology. Such technologies are now treated as common scientific disciplines. Nonetheless, these scientific disciplines are ancient. Let us note a relative and modern day diversion from and cover up of the Jacobian experiment. Also too, you can there's 2 good lectures by Bobby Hemmett on YouTube called Human Artificial. So if you check those out, that'll also give you like the, that'll give you the story from Kemet about this same Jacobian experiment that happened, during like ancient Kemet times, right? Charles Darwin and Darwinism. Charles Darwin, born in the year 1809, mortus 1882, was an Englishman and a European by origin. He was a naturalist by trade, whose major social contribution to contemporary civilization was that of popularizing the theory and doctrine which has been the pseudo-science dispensed as basis for the European anthropologist's speculative explanation explaining the origin and evolution of the human species modern man. European origins. Darwin dealt with and promoted the widely accepted thought concerning animals and plants, with the principal theoretical points being that there is a tendency to variation in all organic beings, and that such variations produce the origin of the opinions that the descendants of man, beast and plant may differ widely from their progenitors or parents. Thus came the origin of Darwin's influence in the fields of biology, social philosophy, and other fields of knowledge. It must be noted that these fields of science predate European interest in sciences by thousands of years and did not originate with Charles Darwin or with any of his associates. A major part or feature of historical and archaeological interest is contained within the Darwinian theory, adapts the position that the whole of the human species evolved from the troglodyte Negro. The scientific fact has long been established that the Negro is a troglodyte, or what is most commonly referred to as the black chimpanzee monkey. At this point, it must be explained to the reader that the Negro is not and does not scientifically refer to any member of the human species. Negro scientifically refers to the troglodyte nigger, Anthropopithecus, which was long considered by modern man, i.e. European anthropologists, to be the only recognized primate monkey species. The troglodyte nigger primate is the closest of any of the anthropoids in their resemblance to man, by skeletal structure and by the nature of the Negro's heightened level of intelligence. Thus, the world has been influenced to believe in or to accept the Darwinian theory, which implies that man evolved from the troglodyte nigger primate. This is the modern informational source of the misconception of the thinking, which purports that the human family is alleged descendants of the anthropoid ape or chimpanzee, right? So Darwin and his theory is what they used, because remember, he's coming in 1809. So the Moorish Renaissance and all that happened already, where they already got all this information about this, right? And when Darwin comes in now, and he's making the connection to, the descendants of humans coming from anthropoid apes, monkeys, or whatever like that, right? We jump from 1809 to 1900s, when they were putting out that yellow journalism about, black people and monkeys or whatever, because they were doing all that to give validity to Darwin's theory. That's why they made so much reference to black people, monkeys, and always have monkeys wearing fezzes and stuff like that, to try to psychologically imprint that idea in us mainly. Even though, you know, when they show the scale with the monkey to man, it's only the European they always have in the picture.
Yeah.
Right? Also too, when you look up troglodyte in the unabridged dictionary, troglodyte in the unabridged dictionary would tell you that it's a cave dweller. Right? And the only cave dwellers were the Europeans.
They depict that in movies and everything. So.
They push that hard, right? Right. So the missing link, an interesting offshoot of the Darwinian theory, is the long-lived interest about finding the so-called missing link. Some scientists are still searching. European anthropologists, biologists, archaeologists, and some other contemporary social philosophers have supported Darwin's theory. They still seek to solve the mystery-shrouded biological and evolutionary link between the anthropoid, chimpanzee, troglodyte monkey, and man, the human homininde Homo sapiens. Many European social scientists are allegedly looking for the primal monkey-to-man skeletal remains among old grave sites and anthropological digs. This traditionally accepted archaeological perspective and guesswork information mission serves to make or reveal the elusive and yet to be found evolutionary link between man and the chimpanzee troglodyte beast. This hypothetical link is key and propagated literature and beliefs which imply confirmation of the blindly accepted Darwinian theory. The amalgam culture destroyers. If the Roman Crusaders, Inquisitionists, and particularly their descendant colonist invaders of North America had not been so insatiable in their passionate determinations to burn, to alter, and to destroy ancient history books, ancient artifacts, scientific scripts, and records, much knowledge could have been and would have been revealed to them concerning these speculative pseudo-primal scientific man from troglodyte matters. Yet the alien exploiters from Europe callously conspired to steal legacies, to cover up, to burn up ancient scientific records, and to suppress, alter, and to destroy ancient Moabite Moorish history, ancient sciences, and the true evidence of many archaeological finds were and are in evidence all over the Americas, but were calculatedly ignored or deliberately misrepresented. Advanced sciences originating with the ancient ones, Moabites, were purposefully and inadvertently suppressed and covered up. European anthropologists and scientists, by omissions and deletions of records, thusly deny and hide from the world using their own biological and hybrid experiments. The amalgam experiments. The scientific facts are, according to the Moabite Moorish chronicles, that ancient man, human, did not evolve from the Negro Yavira Arabo troglodyte black chimpanzee monkey. Man was never monkey, and monkey was never man. However, modern man, or ruddy pale mankind species, was indeed the genetic result of an ancient Moabite scientist's amalgam experiment, Yakub, which crossed or blended the bloods of the troglodyte nigger and the human zygote to uterus transfers and blood, etc. Enzymes from selected plant glands were also involved in the experiments, used to subdue the pungent strength of the oils given off from the sweat glands of the troglodyte. The Jacobian amalgam experiments are the origin of modern man, derived from the original man. Thus, modern man is the amalgamated part of the blended human family called Albion or red man. This red or ruddy man is contemporarily called Romans or Europeans. The less informed call them white men or paleface. This amalgamation factor is the primal reason as to why Europeans and their direct descendants are correctly referred to as modern man, Occidentum, versus ancient man, Orientum. The mathematical and multi-nominal scientific technologies used for these ancient biological experiments were perfected to a quantic degree, whereas reproduction, though weaker than the original man, was definitely possible and duplicitous. The other remaining problem unique to the Albo hybrida was melanoma leprosy. There need be no mystery about the so-called missing link. The missing link is a deliberate deletion of some of the world history and the inquisitionist suppression of true knowledge about the human history, about evolution, and about the highly advanced ancient sciences. Albion is also anciently and astrologically referred to as Patmos, although there is another island near Turkey which now bears that name. Albion relates to Albos or Albino, thus the ancient name as given to the land which the Moabites assented to the Albion kind of man to populate and dwell upon. Many of the Alber were slow to adjust to sophisticated civilization and orderly social government. Many of the Albo preferred to live in caves. Albion thusly is the original and ancient name of Angleland, which means land of the Angles. The land of the Angles is now called England. The troglodyte nigger, Negro, black are parent to the Albo hybrida Angloman and are essentially one and the same. The Angloman is but a genetically generated heterogeneous hybrid. Thus, scientifically and in truth, the Negro and black refers to the caveman and the descendants of the caveman. People should not be socially sensitive about discussing the true origin of the Negro troglodyte or the proper primal use of the word. All natural people should be scientifically educated and made aware of the Negro experiment hybrid subject matter, which has caused so much unnecessary misery and consternation. A little knowledge about the workings of nature and of hidden ancient history should alleviate many of the social misunderstandings which have evolved with the social misplacements of the words nigger, negro, and black, which have marked and corrupted North American and Western Hemisphere society. The scientific and etymological exposure of the truth about the real Negro is not presented to cause discomfort to or to debase or condemn Europeans, but only to intelligently remove the ignorance about the Negro caused by the way of Europeans' mean-spirited perpetration of the world's misplacement and twisting and altering of true history by European slaveholders and occupational U.S. corporations. Also exposes one of their political motives behind forced reconstructed history and massive book burnings. Therefore, the Europeans who impose the nigger brands have traded places socially and politically with the true aboriginal and sovereign natural people. Europeans have created through mental conditioning and color an artificial 14th Amendment person or corporate Negro. The natural people, by way of ignorantly accepting, using, and adopting the nigger brands from a pseudo-identity perspective, have been falsely led to believe that they were descendants of niggers or troglodytes. Right?
Yeah. The sound went out just a little bit on that one. It happened before too, but it came back and it wasn't bad enough.
Okay.
But,
powerful, man.
Yeah.
Has there been anything said about the reason why this experiment took place?
Well, from what I understand, the experiment took place because we basically got cocky,
Right.
and we wanted to create a slave.
Yeah. That lower self. That's all it is.
Yeah, comes back to that same thing again. Lower self versus the higher self. You know, and us, you know, some of us gravitating toward the lower self and causing us these problems. You know, because, you know, it's like when people say, you know, the Europeans doing this and that, and the Europeans are one world order, blah blah. Yeah, well, we created them. So, you know what I mean? You reap what you sow, right? And we set ourselves up because we didn't know that. You know what I mean? Well, I mean, we should have known, because, you know, when you create a slave, they're gonna come back and be your master. You know what I mean? That's just what it is. Like, it's nothing. That's the law.
Exactly. There you go.
You know, that's the law. That's gonna happen. It's not anything that we can. You know, if you know you punch a dude, you're gonna get punched back. Like, that's just how it goes. You know. So it's a lot of it is us. You know, just like it was saying, that, you know, the scientific and etymological exposure of the truth about the real Negro is not presented to cause discomfort to, or to debase or condemn Europeans, but only to intelligently remove the ignorance about the Negro caused by the Europeans' mean-spirited perpetration of the word's misplacement. Right? So it's not a thing of using it to condemn them and, oh yeah, you guys come from the cave and you guys are, you know, created beings and all that type of stuff. It's just to present what the truth of the matter is.
Exactly.
Right? And majority of Europeans, if they check their genealogy, they'll find that they got, you know, they come from the harems of the Moors. So that means they got Moorish blood in them. So, you know, it's like you know, it wasn't really the female. It was more the males that we created out of those experiments.
Yeah, that's what I figured too. So.
You know what I mean? Right? You know? I mean, regardless, it was, you know, that wasn't the move. But, you know, what's done is done.
Straight up. Like, I got a question, man, as far as the fall of Rome. And there's a European guy from your territory, well, not your territory, but your area, Canada, Canaanland, where they sent out a warrant for the Pope's arrest. Have you heard about that?
Mm.
It was like for the Queen, the Pope.
Yeah.
It was international warrants,
right.
Supposedly. It was a person out there in Canada that's off.
Now, as we see, right, Pope's still sitting there.
Exactly.
Right, Queen's still sitting there. She's still on the money out here and all that. So.
Yeah. Yeah, I see on YouTube it was actually with Santos Bernardo.
Yeah. They I mean, you know, they have what they need to do is they need to get down with the Moors, right? Naturalize, adopt El Bay, and then go do that again, and then see if something happens. You know what I mean? Right? Because them doing that is
limited.
You know, yeah, they're limited in what they're gonna get. You know,
no jurisdiction. Really?
You know what I mean? It's just like World Service Authority, right? That makes the passports and all that, and then everybody's running to them to go get a passport, but that's some Europeans. Like, you're gonna go to some Europeans to go get a passport, But then you're not going to go to the corporate Europeans to go get a passport because they're corporate. Well, those World Service Europeans, they're just corporate. Their offices in Washington D.C.
It's got a bigger name.
Yeah, they're just more, let's say, independent, if you will, right? But it's the exact same thing. Like what those Europeans are doing, they're only doing that because they have the Moors birthright. And then the Moors don't have enough faith in what Noble Drew Ali brought them. Because like we said before, if you go on Moorish civilletter.net, right, with Brother Abdullah, etymology master, right? Brother Abdullah uses nationality card to get on a plane. Like he uses nationality card. Right? He didn't have passport. They were asking him about passport, but passport wasn't an issue because he was what he knows.
He knew how to present himself.
Right? And that's what it really comes down to with the demonstration on that level. Like from what I understand, they actually took somebody off the plane to put him on. And he had nationality card.
Yeah.
And then people are gonna say, "Oh no, the nationality cards. No, I gotta go World Service Authority, go get a passport." Like the nationality card is supposed to be your social insurance card, your tax exempt card, your passport, your driver's license, your everything. That's what it was created for. You know what I mean? Because the Moors have the only lawful identification in the Americas. And that's the only ID that there is. Right? Nationality card. Everything else is fraud. Like everything else is fraud.
Correct.
But again, it's like it's we're new Moors coming in with our eyes open, and we're invoking the things of the Moors of before the Prophet passed that didn't get to manifest because of dirty Moors. And then they thought that they got rid of the Prophet, so we're just gonna sit back and just watch this boat sink.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? When Drew Ali said, I stopped up all the rabbit holes. Like, there's no water coming in this sink and nothing. You know what I mean? It's not happening. It can't happen. It's because, Allah's guiding this.
Exactly.
And all those things, like all those statements that he made were really ritualistic statements, occult, warlock statements. You know what I mean? Like him saying, okay, well, this is a divine and national movement. Like that statement alone is a ritualistic, occult statement. Because if it's divine, then that means the ancestors are part of it, the Orishas are part of it, Allah is part of it, all the seraphims and the cherubims and whoever else entities that we can't see, known and unknown, they're all part of this if it's divine. You know what I mean? And if it's national, then everybody who has a nationality or belongs to a nation is down with this. Right?
Like you said in your rhyme, it's plural. Nations is plural.
Yeah, straight. You know what I mean? Right? And he literally came for everybody. If they want him, it's like we should be urging, let's say we meet, like we're talking about with the Mexicans, right? We meet some people from Cuba, Mexico, wherever, right? Yeah, we're talking about Noble Drew Ali. Well, I don't know about, and their position as well, I really don't know. This is okay, how about here's the literature, rewrite it in your language, then read it again, and tell me if you're not down with it.
Right.
Right? Don't read the English version. take the book. It's a little booklet. Shouldn't be too hard. Translate it into your language, and then read it. And now let's see if you have the same perspective as you would have if you know what I mean, if you read it in English.
I'm gonna do that too.
And I guarantee their perspective is gonna be totally different.
Yeah.
No, especially when you go into, you know, like you were saying with the pictures with the Liberty cap on the coat of arms and all that. You know what I mean? You know, like that's documented facts that all those places were republics. They got 5-point star on their stuff. You know what I mean? You know, Liberty caps on their stuff, right? They use red and all that for everything that they do. You know, it's like everything's right there. You know, and again, it comes back to the thing of, you know, we have to have the courage, knowing what we're up against, to still do what we gotta do.
Yeah, and that's what it comes down to.
No.
I feel like it's gonna come down to illustrating, you know, showing it by our actions, you know, shutting down these servers, shutting the servants.
Yeah, most definite.
Because people, they're not gonna believe until they see with their own eyes, you know.
Exactly. You know, and again, you know, it's like, you know, they're not gonna believe until they see with their own eyes. Like, we can tell people about Moor versus police with Brother Fontes for the next 20 years, and people still not gonna take it real when they let the youth out the car. Yeah. They opened the door, told the youth man, get out the car.
Yeah, they
you know what I mean? With no nationality card, no papers, and none of that stuff like that. Just standing up for, you guys are foreigners. Like, how are you gonna say that you're gonna come take somebody or whatever that's indigenous? You can't do that.
Plain and simple. We know we're not slaves.
We know we're not slaves.
Exactly. So
And once you know you're not a slave, then you know their mode of operations of how they deal with you changes.
Yeah.
Right? You know, like that, like I'm saying, like there's brothers up here who they beg policy enforcers to come talk to them. They beg them, like, yo, come on, let's just have a conversation. Knocking on the glass of the car, like, yo, wind the window down, let's talk. These guys out of here. They don't want to be talking, you know what I mean? Like, why? You know what I mean? We can't kick your ass. You know what I mean? We can't pull you in the back, billy club you. And, you know what I mean? We can't do the phone book on your face and punch you out. You know? Like, it's not happening. Just because we're standing up for what we know is the truth, and, you know, who likes it, then come get down with it. You know? It's like we know brothers that work for a policy enforcement bureau, organization, whatever. You know what I mean? And when we go to the main court downtown at City Hall, right? When we go to Old City Hall court, right? Like that's our inside people, right? And they're letting us know, yo, this thing, you know, everybody's talking about y'all being here. Everybody, like, that's news for the day. Everybody stops doing what they're doing because, yo, the Moors came to court, these brothers and fezzes, and they're telling judge whoever, you know, and that guy's supposed to be the top judge in here, and nobody doesn't whatever, he doesn't take shit from nobody and all that, and this man's mute. This man's running out the room. You know what I mean? And people are seeing that, but they're not exposing anything because, you know, they're on payroll. You know? But they'll let us know that, yo, you guys had the whole court. Everybody who worked in the court knew that you guys were in court that day. Yeah. Everybody can't, like, stop doing what they're doing. Don't even think that everybody who was sitting in the court was somebody who had a trial or whatever. Some of those people are, man, just take off their tie, take their shirt out their pants or whatever, and go sit in the in the thing to watch the show. You know what I mean? Right? You know?
with that being said, are y'all working any suits right now as we speak?
Well, our thing is, you know, we're moving on the angle of where Fonteas and Anaid and them are going right now, where the real suit is putting them on blast in the public arena.
Right.
Because we're not gonna go to the criminal to go get him to come arrest or, you know, do whatever to another criminal.
Exactly.
Right? They're not gonna throw their boy under the bus.
Yeah.
You know?
Well, what we need to do, we need to go ahead and get like our own newscast to go along with that and correspond.
Yeah. I mean, a lot of that is really just, you know, instead of you know, uploading to send to WorldStar, you know, right? We upload to put it on YouTube.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Right? And that's the news broadcaster.
Yep.
You know, that's the cameraman. That's the cameraman and the reporter and the news broadcaster in one person. Just pull out your phone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And when you put phones on those people, they don't like when they're getting recorded.
Exactly.
You know what I mean?
See changes too.
Yeah. You know, they don't like when they're getting recorded. You know what I mean? But that's where we're at with the suit thing, cause you know it's there's too much politics with going to sue them in a court setting. You know what I mean? Because that's their boy.
Exactly.
Like their boy is not gonna let them get, you know, some RICO Act charges and Title 18 and whatever like that, when, you know, like, yo, some Title 18 stuff is, yo, you die.
Exactly.
They put you in front of a firing squad or they stone you to death or whatever.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They're not gonna let that happen to their boy.
Yeah, it's not serious though,
You know?
man.
Yeah, but that's the level of fraud that's going on out here.
Because, you know, it trickles down. It got our people out here all stressed out, you know, committing crimes just off of them, you know, ignoring the fact that we know.
Right. You know? But that's the biggest suit right there, knowing. You know? That's the biggest suit. Once you know, it's over for them once you know. You know?
They lose their power.
Yeah. You know? And not just here, or all over the whole planet.
Exactly.
You know? And also too that when even if it's little stuff that we're you know writing writs for, even if it's small things like, you know, my daughter came home, said that teacher, you know, told her shut up or whatever. Put that in the writ, get the teacher's picture off the website, put that in the writ, and send that all over the world and expose them.
Right.
You know what I mean? Just expose them. You know, just like everything else. You know, look at the big suit they have with Kanye right now, walking into a pole or whatever.
Oh yeah.
You know, everybody knows about that, right? You know, because put him on blast. You know, you haven't heard nothing from Kanye in a few weeks. Nothing. Man's on shut up right now. Shut up time. Go in the corner. Sit down. Put on a dunce cap. Because they put him on blast. You know? And that's how, I mean, it's, you know, because it's like Brother Fonte is saying, like, you know, his put on blast is, you know, 1,500 faxes in a day. That's his perspective of put on blast.
Yeah. So what you think about his new stuff he's coming out with, his new material?
Who's that?
With Kanye.
I don't even listen to those guys, huh?
Oh, okay.
I don't even listen to those guys. Like, he could have a song about Noble Drew Ali right now. I ain't gonna listen to it. You know what I mean? Just because, like, it's like, now you're gonna come out with that? You know? Y'all had so much opportunity to do that. Now you're gonna do that, you know? On top of that, like, I got enough stuff to listen to. You know what I mean? I got enough stuff to listen to.
I've been bumping your music, man.
Yeah, man, give thanks, yo. Give thanks. That's, you know, that's what it's done for.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Literally, that's what it's done for.
Yeah. Oh, some of them tracks though at the end they sort of like scratch it, they sort of skip a little bit.
Which on what, on the mix CD? Or
I'm not sure what the title is called. It's the one where you got the Iron Man suit on. That one.
Okay, right.
And
Okay.
that's my favorite one too.
Yeah. I got another one out.
I had that playing for like a week now.
For real.
That
For
one
real.
and then Divine Movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, like 2 songs at the end.
For real. Yeah, I'll check that out.
Delisa, did you have a question?
Yeah, yo. But yeah, fam. So you already know, man. Like, you know, it's this is just what we gotta do. You know what I mean? We gotta just incorporate the knowledge and everything in everything. Just incorporate it. Just put it in there. Like, who cares? Like, you know, it's more just to get the information out there, not necessarily, you know, like if somebody said, you know, you'll come do a show or whatever. Like, I'm gonna have to go back and listen to stuff 10,000 times to get it in my brain again, cause, you know, like after I do an album, like I'm on the next one. Like I don't even, you know what I mean? That's just, you know, I've been performing and all those stuff, and it's not even, you know, certain things aren't the same no more. You know what I mean? It's not the same. It's not the same vibe anymore. Yo. Totally different vibe. You know? Yeah, man.
Yep. Important things going on.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, we actually did elections today for our temple that we're building right now.
Oh, for real?
Yeah, we elected our Grand Sheik Jail Amaziah Bay.
All right. Proper. All right.
And I am the Chief Mufti.
Right. Yeah, man. And just, you know, just keep growing.
Yeah, and he said his peace and love. That's what I was waiting for. I was gonna bring him over here with me.
Oh, for real? Okay. Yeah, man. Just you know, keep the fam tight with people who you know that are, you know, I don't want to say qualified or whatever, but people who have that integrity. You know what I mean? And that sincerity. You know, right? Cause you know you're gonna get agents coming in or whatever. You know, that's just how it goes. You know what I'm saying? You're gonna get weirdos coming in, try to disrupt stuff and try to, you know, ruffle stuff and all that. But you know, once we stick with, you know, Drew Ali and Allah and making sure that we address what Drew Ali said to address, you know, things will run smoother, because you have a reference point from 1913, opposed to, you know, you go on RV Bay and you read something, or you go on, you know, Moorish Civil Letter, or you listen to Blog Talk or whatever. If what's said isn't in harmony with Noble Drew Ali, you know, just cast it to the side, you know, regardless of who it comes from.
Yeah, we're moving with truth, so that's kind of hard to break.
Yeah. You know what I'm saying?
We're definitely gonna stay linked. As soon as we start sending them writs, we make sure we send them to you first.
Yeah, man. Just, you know, as and again too, you know, it's connect with you know, Moors that are moving on the angle that, you know, is sincere.
Right.
You know what I mean? And credible, you know?
I gotta link up with Grand Sheik Haru again too.
Yeah. You got through with him yet?
Yeah, I did, but I think he may have been busy. He said he's gonna call me back, but he probably forgot or something.
Okay. Yeah, he's one of those busy Moors, yo.
Yeah, that's why I already knew. Like when I talked to him, I already knew. So
yeah. Yeah.
I felt though, so I'll probably just hit him up sometime this week though.
Yeah, man. And did I give you Nature's number?
Nature, yeah. I talked to Sister Nika.
Nika, okay. All right. Yeah.
So I gotta call them back as well.
Yeah, man. Just you know, get down with as much Moors that's active that you can get down with, and all they're gonna be is just another arm that you have extended in another territory. You know what I'm saying?
We're gonna try to start traveling too, so we can get out there and meet some of these Moors. We're gonna try to make our way up there to Canaanland.
Yeah, yo, we're here. You know what I mean? We're here holding it up. We're here holding it up.
You showing it. For real.
Yeah, man. Alright. So yeah, yo, we'll do a closeout.
Right.
And you know, and again, you know, we give thanks to y'all for keeping it diligent, you know what I mean? Cause we got to do this. Alright, 5 on the left, 2 on the right.
Beautiful. The illustration.
Straight. Allah, the Father of the universe.
Allah, the Father of the universe.
Father of love.
Father of love.
Truth.
Truth.
Peace.
Peace.
Freedom.
Freedom.
And justice.
And justice.
Allah is my protector.
Allah is my protector.
My guide.
God.
And my salvation.
My salvation.
By night.
Night.
And by day.
My day.
Through his holy prophet.
Holy prophet.
Noble Drew Ali.
Drew Ali.
Islam. Islam.
Islam.
Islam.
Islam.
Yeah, Moors.